you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep. Hi. I'm sold by funky. Hey. Sold by funky. Hi. I'm sold by cosmic soul. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Yours truly, Takara Nicole, aka the Identity Architect, and Sir Alan Black. We're in the studio, and guess what? We're the hosts and the guests. Welcome to the Authors Authority Lounge, the official TV show for authors. Alan, what are we going to talk about today?
You know, that's a great question. In a sense, it's kind of symbolic because as we sit here, we think about, what are we going to talk about? And the connection between that very question I just asked and authorship is this. As an author, you say, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
How do I get started?
Yeah.
What's the next step? So
Right.
that's kind of what we're going to do with the show today.
Yeah.
As far as just kind of have this conversation on what's the first step.
Man, listen, how many books have you written?
I've done 3 books and I'm finishing up the 4th book.
Oh.
And so I can honestly say that each book has been a journey.
Absolutely.
So when I can definitely talk about what it's like to get started.
You know, and every time that I write a book, it's different. So I just wrapped up my 13th book,
Wow,
coming out soon.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. And working on having the 14th out very soon. And it's interesting that, you know, when we sit and think about, first of all, writing a book, you know, only 2 to 3% of people actually
That's
publish
right.
their
That's
books.
right.
And so when you think about writing a book, sometimes people make it seem like it's the hardest thing ever. But when you think about it, it can be as simple or as difficult as you make it. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I agree 100% because I think in a lot of respects, Takara, and I can speak for myself when I first started the process of being an author,
Yeah.
my perception of what it meant to be an author was it was this big, thick book that's like 500 or 600 pages, 25, 30 different chapters. And so I'm thinking to myself,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Right.
And so that was really the initial roadblock for me, was just thinking 500-600 pages, 25 to 30 chapters,
I'm out.
hardback.
Yeah.
And I said, nah.
No, not me,
I can't
right?
do it. I can't do it.
So would you say that that can be myth number 1 we talk about?
For me, I think that is myth number 1, just because of the fact that when we have seen authors on television,
Yeah,
or we see them via these days social media,
for sure.
you may see them with a book 300 or 400 pages long, or you may see someone like, let's say, Stephen King
Okay.
with volumes of books.
Yeah.
And so that can be intimidating to the extent that you're thinking, I mean, they're like way up here and I'm way down here at rock bottom.
Right.
So there's no way I can get up there. And so that can be very self-defeating,
For sure.
so that you get to a point where you're going to say, there's no way I can do it. So you just kind of dismiss the idea.
Absolutely. And, you know, there is a specific type of book that are called short reads that are less than 100 pages, where really, if I may, not only am I an author, I'm also a publisher. So I coach people what I call from concept to becoming that published author. And so one of the things that we talk about all the time is that myth right there, where people think that their book has to be X amount of pages. And so I recommend short reads all the time, because I call it those books that you can get in, get out, and run. So you can get what you need, apply it, and then continue to run through life or walk through life or jog through life, whatever you want to do. But that's my little tagline when it comes to those, because those are the books that people go back and read over and over and
Yes.
over. And shout out to my grandma, I love you, girl. My grandma reads all my books, and all my books are short reads. And, she says that she can get them done in between 4 to 6 hours just in one sitting, right? And so think about, what that looks like. And, people who are struggling thinking that their books have to be so big, listen to this step right here. You just have to get started and don't overthink the process. What would you say?
Overthinking the process is almost a natural default
Yeah.
because you see the images, you see the books
Yeah.
that are out there, and so you immediately think, I have to be in that same arena.
That's myth two, y'all. Myth two.
And so when you get into that particular mindset, that can cause you to start saying, I need to back away from this idea
Yes.
because I'm not worthy,
Woo!
or I don't think I have the ability
Oh, come
to
on.
do what somebody else is doing. So within that particular framework, we have to as well
Yeah.
get out of the misguided mindset that we have to compare ourselves to somebody else.
Now you're talking, because now you're moving into myth three, which is mindset. So, I have this framework that it's called MEET, and mindset is number one.
Yes.
And so we have to be very strategic around what we're saying to ourselves, who we're allowing in our circles as we are on the path of writing the book, whether it's the first time or the fifth time, because we look for people's approvals knowingly and unknowingly.
Exactly.
And so it's really important for us to say, hey, you know what? I need to come up with my own affirmations, shape my own mindset of what's my why and how I'm going to get to the finish line. What do I need to get there? Is it accountability? Is it a book coach? Is it a community? What does it look like, sound like, feel like? So as you're on this journey, you're equipping yourself.
And the mindset is important because the most difficult person that you're going to have to deal with is going to be the person you see in the mirror.
Woo! Yes, 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 yes. That's it.
Because when you're looking at that person in the mirror,
Yes.
it's almost instantaneous in some situations where, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about this. I've never done this before.
Right.
And what are people going to think?
Right.
And maybe I just am wasting my time.
Exactly.
So the affirmations as such are going to be important because they are instilling in you
Come on.
the confidence that I can do this.
Absolutely.
Why can't I do this?
That part
And
right there.
I
Yes.
agree 100% that the mindset is number one more
Yeah.
than anything,
Yeah.
because we have the capacity
Mm-hmm.
when we look at that person in the mirror to either edify and uplift that person we see in the mirror,
Yeah.
or we can start the process of discouraging and tearing down that person in the mirror.
And that's real good, because a lot of times we are the first in our families, in our circles,
Yes.
to accomplish the accolades that come with being an author, because there is power within being an author. Hence why we call this the Author's Authority Lounge. The word author is in the word authority. So once you write that book, you publish that book, you have this authority over yourself, within yourself. And it's really important that if no one else believes what you're doing on this journey, that you believe what you're doing on this journey, which also takes me to the point where I'm sure, Alan, there's people who are watching the show and they have the book done. That is amazing.
Exactly.
Are you celebrating yourself? But here's the other part. They want to know what's the next step. How do they get it done?
So when you get to that point where you have that manuscript done, I think it's important to current audience that you say to yourself, hey, I got through the first step.
Yes.
I got through probably the most difficult part of the journey.
Yes.
And that's getting started.
Yes.
And going from A to Z for the first part
Right.
of that journey. Now, once you get there, then you are going to say, now, I need to go into phase 2.
Right.
Phase 2 is who's going to edit?
Yeah.
Who's going to look at my manuscript to make sure that I have my periods?
Yeah.
There are my commas,
Right.
exclamation points, whatever the case may be.
For sure.
So then you start that process of doing what I call the administrative side of authorship, as far as finding that individual who can edit, who can then proofread.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important too that as an author,
Yeah.
I am a believer that you don't want to necessarily take on the whole burden of doing this by yourself.
I agree with you more. I struggled with that right there with my 6th book. I wrote it in 28 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat on the editing thinking that I could do it myself. So I was using Microsoft Word dictation. So it was reading it back to me. As it was reading it back to me, I would add the periods, the commas. I know. I would add the periods, the commas, and then you know what else started happening?
Let me guess. Go ahead.
I would add more to the manuscript, right? And so what was a 28-day process end up being a 6-month process because I couldn't relinquish it to the next person. And I'm a whole publisher. I'm like, there's something with this I want to do, da 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 da. And for me, I believe in God. And he was like, listen, baby girl, I'm needing for you to hire the editor. And so this amazing young lady by the name of Jasmine edited my book. And then another amazing voice, Shalisa, came in and did that edit as well. And so I wrote the book during the pandemic.
Okay.
Never really had a book signing or a book launch for it. But it's one of the most powerful and prolific books that I've written. I've had a women's shelter in Atlanta buy over 100 copies of it for their. So it's
awesome.
Thank you so much. However, what started as a 28-day journey ended up being 6 months because of this editing process. And what folks may not know about Sir Alan Black is that he also edits books. So what would you say to somebody that is sitting on their book that they need it to be edited and don't know what they need to be questioning or asking the person who does edit?
So what my experience has been up to this point, when I do the editing and when I do the proofreading, I will get a copy of the manuscript. Now, this is just how I operate. I can't speak for anybody else. Now, we are going to have our initial conversation where we're talking about, okay, this is what I'm looking at. This is the author talking. Explain to me what the vision is.
Oh, yes.
Now, then from there, I will take the manuscript and then I start the process of going through and start editing and proofreading. In my situation, I probably do more proofreading initially, and this is the reason why, Takar. I will not say edit or change the flow of a manuscript without first making the author aware of the fact that this is what my perception is.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Because as an author, you have created this manuscript, which is your pride and joy.
Your baby.
It's your baby.
It's your baby.
So I feel like as the editor or the proofreader,
Yeah.
I do not have the right, and particularly for editing, to come in and say, oh, we're going to change this and we're going to put this here and we're going to put that there. No, that's just wrong, but that's just me.
So let's pause right there because that's another myth that we just stumbled upon. So some people don't release their manuscripts because of the fear that an editor is going to change their work, their voice, their sound, their tone. And that's not true. What a good editor does is kind of figure out if this is edits, is this a proofread,
Thank you.
if this is something that we have to ghostwrite, where the editor is seeing that they're adding a lot of language, verbiage, all the things, but you said something up front. They're having that conversation with the author to understand their voice, their tone, hone their message, because some books have a certain voice that we may be unfamiliar with as an editor
Right.
in that seat, whether it's ebonics or, like poetry has a
Right.
different flow. And so it's really important to understand the levels of editing before you just give your book to someone. Because what we see a lot in this industry is, oh, I have a friend that's an English teacher or an English professor or
No.
that's great. However, there's a certain there's a certain tone, there's certain questions that need to be answered for the author to feel comfortable with giving their baby over to someone
Yes.
else to take it to help grow the baby to
Exactly.
the next stage.
And I said no a few seconds ago because, yes, that individual is an English major. They have a bachelor or master's in English, or they're an English professor.
Yeah,
From the academic side, that's fantastic.
it is.
However, again, there has to be that conversation between that editor and or proofreader
Yeah.
and the author, because we have to make sure we're staying in the same flow.
Yes.
Case in point, I did an editing project for a young lady about 3 months ago. She used certain words, certain phraseology
Yeah.
that in terms of, say, the standard protocol for English and the expression of it
Yeah.
did not fit.
Right.
But I recognize, okay, you were using slang in certain
Yeah.
spaces. You were using words in a certain framework. Case in point, by virtue of, say, let's just say Microsoft,
Yeah.
you would say Aunt Nicole, Aunt Sheila, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it does not recognize auntie.
Right.
So, but that is phraseology.
That's good.
It's colloquialism to the extent that it may not be accepted under the standard guideline.
Right.
But you, as that editor or that proofreader, you've had that conversation.
For sure.
And the conversation, Takara, is not one time.
Exactly.
For me, as I'm going through, because I'm going to be working with a young lady here locally very soon for her book project,
Right.
this is the conversation we're going to have over the course of time.
Absolutely.
Because when we get to the finish line, we're in agreement that, okay, I've done, as the editor and the proofreader, I've done what you wanted me to do.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, we're in the avenue of agreement, let's just call it that. But then you, as the author, will go back one more time just to reread it, just to be sure.
Right.
But for me, the editing and the proofreading, it's a collaborative endeavor.
Yes.
It's not one-sided to the point where you give it to that person and then they send it back to you 2 weeks later, whatever the case may be. They say, I'm done, so thank you, and they go on their way.
Exactly.
No, that's not how this is supposed to be. At least that's my experience.
No, you're
is
absolutely
because
right.
It has to be a collaborative type of
Yes.
situation.
You should be able to build a relationship with your
Yes,
editor, because
absolutely.
at the end of the day, they do have your baby. And if you think about it from a nanny or babysitting standpoint, you're just not going to pick some random person to watch
No.
your kid. You're going to make
No.
sure that, that they're vetted. And sometimes I'll say this, when you're looking for an editor, don't be offended if they say, hey, I can't show you A, B, and C work per se, because we sign all kinds of different agreements and things of that
Exactly.
nature. But you can go to Amazon and find this book, or you can go to this place and find this book. So that's some of the language too. One of the things that I was thinking of that is indeed another myth was, how long does it take for you to be a published author?
Oh boy, that's a great one, because here's the thing with that, Takara, and audience. You are going to be in possession of that timeline as far as the determination of it. Again, a lot of that ties back to, what is your end goal with your book?
Yeah.
Now, if you want this book to be 500-600 pages, then yes, that timeline as far as you being an author is going to be extended.
Right.
Again, though, the authorship journey isn't just entirely predicated on your book being 500-600 pages. I've got a former student of mine who's written a children's book. We know somebody else, Carlos Middlebrooks, who's
Yes.
written books that are maybe 15, 20 pages or so long for children,
Right.
that it probably didn't take them as long to write the book.
Right.
So your determination of how long it's going to take you is going to be predicated on what do you see your manuscript being.
I love that. And I'm going to come aside that. And I think the other piece of that can be mindset as well.
Yes.
Sometimes what we think is going to be this easy, simple journey, life gets in the way and we have to stop and we have to pause and we have to stop and reflect and stop and pause and reflect. And so what we said is, oh, I want to get this book out by this date, comes 2 years later. Oh, I'm ready to get the book out. And for those of us that are believers of God, sometimes we say, you know, his timing is everything. So sometimes when we think the book is supposed to come out, it's not really when the book's supposed to come out. So give yourself grace when you're, you know, working through these things. It's great to set a deadline, but also be sensitive, especially if you're writing from a self-help perspective. If you're opening yourself up to sharing some of these lived experiences and you realize, ooh, this is triggering me more than I realized I needed to, and I need to set this down for a little bit, get the help that I need, and then jump back in, you know, give yourself grace. And I talk to my clients about that all the time because, or anybody who's writing a book actually, is give yourself grace on this process because it's not going to be an overnight process for you, or it may be, but be sensitive to what that looks like for yourself. So it's important to individualize your experience and your journey.
And that's important as much as anything because we are also world class at beating ourselves up.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, I was supposed to have it out by September
Yes.
30th and it didn't happen.
Right.
I'm a failure and
Oh my gosh, all the
I'm
things.
never going to get it done.
Yeah.
Stop.
Right.
Because you know what? If you didn't make it September 30th,
Yeah.
stop and take a step back and think, well, look how far I've come
That part.
leading up to the imposed deadline
Yeah.
of September 30th. But like you said, give yourself the grace to recognize, well, it didn't happen when I wanted to, but
Yeah.
look at how much progress I made just to get to this point.
And that's important, especially with whatever you're writing about, whether it's a self-help book, whether it's a children's book. Celebrate your wins while you're on this journey. And it's really important that you give yourself that grace and that time to really understand what you're
Exactly.
doing, because becoming an author, like we said early in the show, only 2% of the people in the world become authors. Now, it may seem like there's a whole bunch of people around us that are becoming authors because we're so focused on maybe the city that we live in. But if we think about this from a world perspective, there's thousands upon thousands of books that are being published a day.
Exactly.
And so, you know, we have to give ourselves grace. The other myth that came to my mind that we can address before we end the show is getting started with writing the book. I tell people all the time, I would say 8 times out of 10, you probably have some concepts in a journal.
Oh boy.
Or notes in your phone, or whether they're typed notes or voice notes or a sticky note. There's something around you that you've already have jotted an idea that's a seed for a book, but it just may not have, matured into that thing yet. What would you say on that?
That is so powerful because I remember sharing with one of my childhood friends who has been talking about writing a book as well.
Yeah.
So our conversation was built around the fact that, okay, you can definitely do this. But my friend's response was, well, man, I don't have time to sit down and to write everything. And so I was saying to my friend, I said, I know you're driving X amount of hours per day, but I see you've got something on your dashboard there. I said, why don't you put your phone up there and
Yes.
turn the recorder on and just record a few thoughts
Yes.
throughout the day? And he
Yes.
was like, I never thought about that. So, and that's a powerful myth because a lot of people are thinking, oh, I got to sit down on my phone, I got to type all this stuff out, and I'm like, it's going to take hours to do it.
Absolutely.
But the journaling part of that is so uniquely captivating because the essence of journaling to me is simply the reality that you may take 5 minutes a day
Yeah.
and write your thoughts down via a journal.
Yeah.
You don't think 5 minutes means a lot.
It sure does.
But if you take a 30-day window
Come on.
and you take 30 times 5, and my math says that's 150, that's 150 minutes you have devoted
Yes.
to writing
Yeah.
and putting together your thoughts.
I love that. And for the book that I was mentioning, 28 Days, I literally set aside time, about an hour or so a day. Wasn't always in the same increment, meaning it might have been 15 minutes here, 30 minutes here, whatever, and got it done in 28 days. And so it's definitely, we overthink it.
Oh, easily.
We overthink it.
Easily.
And so we're happy to share these nuggets with you guys today. Within the couple minutes we have left, how do we empower the audience with overcoming some of the myths that we shared today?
I think as much as anything, you start with the person you see in the mirror.
Absolutely.
No one ever said it's going to be difficult,
Yes.
but don't make it harder than it has to be.
Absolutely.
Just take a few steps at a time. There is the old Chinese proverb that a thousand mile journey begins with the first few steps.
Wow.
The point being, the first few steps lead to additional steps, more steps, more steps. The point being, you're just doing a little bit at a time, even if it's just a few minutes a day.
Yeah.
And then you will get to the mountaintop. You don't get to the mountaintop from the bottom of the ground and jump up there. That might be for Superman, but that ain't real. But you're climbing that mountain just a few steps at a time.
Yes.
That's how you get there.
I love that. So if you're not familiar with myself and Alan, we are co-founders of the AAAG, that stands for the Authors Authority Authorship Guild. If you want more information on how you can be a part of some of the things that we do, go to yourauthorsaauthority.com/the AAAG, meaning the AAAG. One more time, yourauthorsaauthority.com/the AAAG. And just like that, it's been another episode.
We're out.
See ya.
What you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep.